really set the tone for what I did with my last book and things of that nature. There's a mic right up here. I'm going to probably talk for only 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, so if you've ever wanted to ask a question, I think it's a really good time to actually get up from your seat right now and start getting into line. So do that. So, as you're debating your questions, let me talk to you about what's on my mind. I know there's a good mix of people here who know quite a bit about me, and I'm sure there's a good mix of people who don't. For my whole life, I called myself a businessman. We now call that an entrepreneur. I've always been selling stuff. And what it's synthesized to, for the people that are paying attention to me closest, is I'm really, really focused on attention. All the happiness that I've had professionally has been my ability to understand where the consumer attention is while the world underestimates it. This conference, the people in this room, are easily aware of where things are going. You wouldn't be at this conference, you wouldn't be coming to these kind of talks if you didn't understand where the attention is either or about to be. I think this space, our space, tends to think attention is going to be in places a little bit too quickly. For example, the last 2 or 3 years, I've been debating very aggressively with a lot of my Silicon Valley friends that VR on the consumer level is much further away than we think. The technology's there, but it kind of reminds me of Internet 92. It's going to take time for normal people to. How many people, by show of hands, outside of people that are in the business, know of a human being who actually spends 2 hours a day or an hour a day in VR? A human being not in the business. 3. So we got a long way to go. And I think that's the things we need to think about, right? And so, but to me, I'm unemotional. Like Twitter, email marketing, YouTube, these are the platforms that through the years really helped me grow my wine business, my brand, my agency. But the truth is I'm unemotional about whether they're here tomorrow. I'm sad that Twitter's ad product isn't as good as I'd like it to be, but I would never waste my money, tell you to waste your money, or guide my startups or companies to waste their money in that platform. To me, I'm obsessed with the underpriced nature of Facebook's ads marketplace right now, but the day it becomes overpriced, I won't cry. I'll just move on to wherever our attention. So there's an unemotional attention grab that I'm focused on, and then I think a lot of the other themes that may happen here is I'm pretty undereducated in hindsight, right? I was an extraordinarily poor student, and as I continue to hear things like, there's some amazing thing I saw on social on my feed the other day, like a graffiti artist saying, the creative people that are winning are the kids that got through adulthood without being tainted, right? And I actually think that so much of what I think about just comes from a pure audit. I don't have a preconceived notion when I look at most things. And I think that blindness, when I went into the agency world, right now I'm running an 800-person agency, we've gone from 0 to $130 million in revenue. When I started it, people made fun of me and said, just because I had a lot of Twitter followers, how was I going to compete with real Madison Avenue? For me, the reason we've been so grossly successful is I didn't have any of the baggage of the agency world. I knew nothing about the agency world. In the same way I didn't know anything about the wine business when I went into my dad's business. And whatever I operate for the next 2 or 3 things until I buy the Jets and win the Super Bowls, I'm going to be very blind to it. And so